Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the project, the penultimate project. There's going to be one more benchmarking project in this class, but this is going to be the last fun one. Benchmarking is not going to be that fun. Maybe it will be fun. Maybe you enjoy it. Anyhow, here's Harambe. Okay. So the noon section helped me design the latest role playing game you guys are going to have to make because most of the RPGs for RPG41 didn't get finished. And so you are more than welcome to use those projects as your starting base. And all the groups have been reshuffled, so you can use any of the projects, any of their code. It's all good to make this game here. And so in class, in the noon section, we brainstormed and we came up with some ideas. And so let's take it from the top. This is called RPG42 Freedom Forever. So it must have a theme of freedom in it. Okay? So this was based in part of one of the in-person groups' focuses on John McAfee. So if you are not familiar with the life of, you got him in group chat. Yeah, sorry, I moved Hernandez out. If you're not familiar with the life of John McAfee, read it sometimes. He did have a wild ride, and that is the name of one of the groups. Anyway, so this is a size 9 project. Size 9 project. This is bigger than I think any group project that I've done, with the exception of one meme group project I did back in 2017 or 2018, where I threw literally the entire class almost into one massive group. I was trying to teach them a lesson, actually, about how it's a bad idea to have groups that big. And then they succeeded. And I was like, you can have, a massive, it was this huge crowd. It was hilarious. They were just working in front of the projector in my class because they're all just standing around, and it actually worked really well. So this is going to be definitely a different experience for you guys because there are 9 people in the group. You have to coordinate well. And in fact, one of the roles is going to be somebody whose only job is to coordinate, because if it's all free form and loosey goosey, yeah, it's gonna train wreck. It's gonna train wreck hard. Okay. So one of the people in your group is gonna have to become the project director. Their only job is to direct the project, and they have to message me on Discord every day what the group's done that day. Okay. The project director has to create a GitHub repo, and then they have to invite all the teammates, and you have to invite me and Macarelli as well. So this is going to be a 40-point assignment. 20 points are going to be group, 20 points individual. So if your group potato is hard, the best you can do is 50%. And since it's 40 points, it will probably lower you a letter grade if you don't do it. Contra-wise, if you get 100%, maybe higher than 100%, if you do an exceptional job, then that can easily pull you an entire letter grade up. Okay, this is a big, big deal. Okay. So, Aaron Yeager reference. So, there are 9 people. The most important person, at least today, is you're going to have to pick one person to be your project leader. Okay? The Scrum Lord, we'll call him. So, your job is to boss everyone, to tell them what to do. We need this done by Tuesday. The project leader also has the ability to evict people from the group. So, for this project, if a person doesn't do any work for 3 consecutive days on the project, it's 10 days total. If a person doesn't work on it for 3 consecutive days, they can contact me and be like, kick them out of the group. And I will pull the person out of the group, and then they're responsible for the entire damn thing on their own. Okay? So this is, it's way too often where somebody will just be like, oh, hey guys, you're going to have to do this without me. I'm going to pull back from this one. I'm going to prioritize other classes. I got points to lose in this class. It's not a big deal. Yeah, if that happens, you're going to get evicted. And have fun doing a 40-point assignment with 9 rolls on your own. It's going to be a disaster for you. Everybody has to participate on this regularly. Okay? And it's not just add a comment, pull a comment out of the GitHub. This is going to be tracking your activity on the GitHub repo, not just I'm working on it on my own. Because that's another thing that people do. I'm working on it. It's basically done now, and they have nothing, right? So it's tracking your contributions on GitHub. You cannot go more than 3 days without a substantial contribution until you finish it. If you're finished, you're good. You're good, right? You have gained the immunity statue, like on Survivor or whatever it's called. But if your job's not done and you haven't done anything in 3 days, the project leader can contact me and evict you from the group. You cannot be an anchor on this assignment. Too many people are counting on you, right? So other than that, the project leader is going to do documentation. They're going to write the README file. The README file has to have color and images in it. It has to be a nice little README markdown file. If you don't remember how to do markdown, we've talked about this before, and I can help you with it offline. Most importantly, you're going to explain what each person did on the project and if they met their goals. Okay. And so this is going to be like the official record of did you do the thing that you said that you're supposed to do? Because 20 of the points are your individual, effort. If other people had to cover for you, you get a 0 for the individual. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't do your part, you just I'll just be part of this group and get the group points. Yeah. Then you get a 0 on the individual, you get enough. Okay. So person 2 is going to be the Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Lord. All right. So this is the person who's going to be responsible for the interface of the game. And for this project, you can either use N-curses or you can use Dear MGUI. And so I'll do a lecture on Dear MGUI probably on Monday. I might do sockets also on Monday. We'll see how that goes. And so if you have existing N-curses code that works, it's great. Most of the N-curses interfaces were not very good in the previous one, kind of limited. So I'm expecting a more functional N-curses interface from you guys, hopefully with different windows, different areas of the screen, non-blocking I/O, that kind of stuff. The third person is Spider-Man or Spider-Woman, aka the Thread Lord. You must implement multi-threading. You must use the C++ thread or JThread class to spawn off different tasks that could be running in parallel with each other. And you have to do something interesting with this. There's a lot of different ways you can use multi-threading in a game. For example, you could have each monster AI be running in its own thread. That's fine. Where in this game, we want monsters and heroes moving around on the map. No longer turn-based. We want this to be real-time action RPG. Okay. And in order to do that, you're going to have to learn about mutexes and lock guards, which is going to be the topic of our lecture after this on how you can lock down. Because in C++, none of the data structures are really thread safe. And so if you have multiple threads reading and writing to the same vector and global space at the same time, right? So you have to learn how to protect it using mutexes and lock guards and things like that. And we'll have a lecture on that in a little bit. Person 4 is DJ Bridges, the artist formerly known as the Bridge Engineer, the Bridgeneer. So Bridges has an audio interface, and for this, you can tell it play this note, play A440, and you have to come up with a soundtrack and sound effects for your game. It doesn't have to play automatically because, it launches a browser and things like that. But basically, you need to come up with some sort of soundtrack. It's all got to be original music. You can't plagiarize anything for your game. Sound effects and music for your game. That's it. That's all you have to do. And you're going to have to figure out the Bridges interface for that as well. The Inheritor of Suffering is back for RPG42. So you must make a class hierarchy of heroes and monsters. All of them must inherit from the actor base class. New for RPG42 is every actor class has to have a function variable. The function variable is going to hold functions, and your function variable will hold the function that gets called when its AI runs. So every game tick, every server tick, you will call the AI function on every actor in the world, and then that actor will move or pathfind or wander around or attack or something like that. So you're going to have to build the class hierarchy for the heroes and monsters, and you have to add an AI function to it. That's really the main thing that's been added. Everything else should basically be the same. You have to have monsters that wander around the world in real time. So, writing that AI is basically the main task for the inheritor of suffering this time. So instead of Sephiroth this time, we have Socket Roth. So person 6 has to implement networking. So networking is surprisingly challenging. I will, like I said, probably give a talk on this on Monday on how to do it. But basically, you can make it as easy as using see in and see out. And so when you see out, instead of it going to the screen, it goes to another computer. It's kind of like how IF streams and OF streams work, right? It looks like you're CNing from a keyboard, except it's coming from a file. And when you see out, it looks like it's going to the screen, except it goes to a file, right? So instead of see out double left arrow, it's outs double left arrow, right? Same thing for the network. You have a socket and you double left arrow, and whatever it is you put there goes to the server. The server CNs it, effectively double right arrows it, processes it, sends a packet back. Client CNs it. You can have that in a different thread. It's complicated, but after you've kind of that's all you have to do on this assignment. In years past, everybody's had to learn sockets. In this one person in a group of 9 has to figure out how to do sockets and make it work in a client server fashion, which is reasonable because that's the only thing you have to do to get your 20 out of 20 is get working networking between 2 people. Person 7, the taste tester, the 50 cent working with G unit. So you have to write tests for all the other people. So all the, most of the people over here are going to have some sort of functions, things like that. You have to create unit tests for them. Okay, the test suite. So you have to take all their code and provide input and see if the output that you get from it is correct. And that's basically all you have to do. Some code though is not directly testable, like a lot of UE stuff. Like you just kind of have to look at it and click on it and things like that. So some of the testing, some of the QA work you're gonna have to do by just if they're using DRM GUI, you're gonna have to click on the different buttons and things like that. We're not gonna get into how to mock network connections and do auto clickers and things like that. Nah, just at a certain level, you'll just kind of test other people's code and make sure it works. Okay. Person 8 is the integration specialist. This is the person who has to put all the different pieces together. The inheritor of suffering, the map, the networking, the sound. All of it has to come together, and that person's job is to take everyone's code and put it together into a working game. So the working game has to have, at the end of the day, the game's got to be fun. It's got to have a victory condition. You have to have the ability to lose. You have to have at least 5 puzzles. You have to have a world map. You have to have colors. You have to have a soundtrack. Now, if you don't have DJ Bridges, then the soundtrack could be just, you find some YouTube video somewhere. But if you have a person whose job it is to compose the soundtrack, you have to have an original soundtrack. You cannot pirate it. The game must have a theme of the tenets of freedom, which includes the natural right to life, liberty, property, and free market forces, aka laissez-faire capitalism. Get wrecked, Keynes. So, you have to put all the pieces together and have a functioning game by 2 Mondays from now. You have 10 days to work on this. Yep. Today, once you're all in your groups, and we're going to let people shuffle around between them, and we'll let you guys pick who your project leaders are. Once we got all the project leaders for the different groups, the project leader right now, today, during class, is going to create the GitHub repo. It's going to be public. It's on a GitHub Classroom. This is actually going to be a permanent repo that you can, it's publicly accessible, et cetera, et cetera. And the project director is going to invite all of the collaborators into it. You're also going to invite me. You're also going to invite Minkrelli. And so we can watch the activity guide. We can watch what people are doing on it. The project director, again, is also going to give me daily updates on what has been done that day on the project. Okay, last person is the screenwriter. So you must come up with at least 40 lines of dialogue, 40 lines of environmental descriptions, and have a theme or a story of some sort. So there's some sort of overarching narrative, concept, purpose, that kind of thing. Kind of like in Mass Effect, there's this story of these aliens who periodically sweep into the universe and reap all intelligent life, that kind of stuff. So the screenwriter has to do dialogue and story. And that, my friends, is RPG42, Freedom Forever. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording now. We've got 5 groups for our online section right now, or 4 for our online section, 2 for in-person. So the in-person sessions, and I'm just going to tell you this, so like you'll understand what I'm talking about when I'm referring to him. The in-person, we've got John McCaffrey's Wild Ride 30-week anniversary edition. Then we've got the Knights of Flavor Country full DLC edition. Now the online groups are called Bed, Bethesda, and Beyond, Aim Gosh, Macarelli's Minions, Spooky Anime Specialists, and the Wonder Twins. And so each one of those groups now, I'm going to go and I could probably actually just stop the recording now. We will pick leaders, project directors for each one of these groups. This needs to be somebody with social skills and the ability to kind of get things done. If you're going to be the ghost, the entire project is going to potato. Like you have to have motivation and drive to get this thing done. But the good news is you don't have to code anything, so that's nice. I'm gonna go ahead, I guess, and just stop the recording here, and we'll get all the logistics of the groups sorted out. If you're watching this recording online, you have been assigned to a group, and you're probably not the project director because we're getting that all sorted out now.